This is going to be a short video. This one's about why we need to listen to lived experience. And I'm going to tell you a story from my PhD. Right? So this is why I think we need to listen to people with lived experience. And this is why the channel is the way that it is. This is why SideQuest Stories exists as a podcast, right? This is why there are playlists where I effectively mine my own experience for insights and analysis. You might be thinking, who does this guy think he is, sitting there in his chair, talking to himself largely, analysing his psychosis as though that's going to be useful to professionals in some way. Well, first of all, it is. It's phenomenology. It's actual scholarship. And secondly, this is the reason, right? So I started my PhD in 2017. I'd spent the previous 2 years working as a healthcare assistant in inpatient psychiatry. Most of what I learned in inpatient psychiatry, I learned from patients. Most of what I was taught by my colleagues did not bear out in my conversations with patients. When I was told by colleagues, oh, this patient is splitting, I would have conversations with patients and conclude, I don't think this is splitting in the sense that it's been described to me. This seems more like a dismissive offhand for actually not wanting to take the time to have a one-to-one with this person and understand their behaviour. But the real reason for all of this on this channel is because when I started my PhD, I was going through a very long ethics process. And it took 5 years for me to get all of the ethical clearances through the IRAS system. I've talked about this in other videos. Because lots of things happened. The GDPR came in, we became a multi-site study, lots of other things. So what this effectively meant in practice was that for the first 5 years of my PhD, I hadn't spoken to a single person with schizophrenia in a research context. I only read the literature. And by doing this for 5 years, I developed a framework in my mind for what schizophrenia was, based on how it's described by researchers. And then I interviewed 15 people with schizophrenia. And many of my assumptions based on the research were violated. I was surprised in many ways to see participants communicate in ways that I hadn't seen expressed in the literature. And participants gave me insights into their daily lives and their preoccupations and their interests and their functioning that I hadn't seen or heard before. So this is why I think it's important to listen to people with lived experience, because yes, the research is very important. It's very important to have an evidence-based, data-driven view of a phenomenon. But lived experience is phenomenology. It is a form of data. It isn't just opinion. It isn't just someone saying, I want to talk about this, I want to have an opinion on this. And in my experience, people who feel motivated to talk about their experiences of mental health problems in a public forum aren't doing it because they're in love with themselves. They're doing it because no one listens. And unfortunately, the patient population has to navigate a system that has not historically been open to what people with mental health problems have to say. And so the systems are structured in many ways, in ways that don't account for those wishes, views, observations. I've said in other videos, if you want to understand how a psychiatric ward is functioning, you need to talk to the inpatients because they actually see what's going on. And I'm pleased to see lots of people in my social media network are talking about their lived experience, and that's great. But we need to, in my opinion, stop treating lived experience as a tokenistic exercise, as a box-ticking exercise. We're the professionals, we're the researchers, we're the experts. We brought a couple of people in who have lived experience and we showed them some experimental stimuli and they said they liked it, and so we can tick the box and say, yeah, this is approved by the patient cohort, and we'll give them their Amazon voucher and send them on their way. It's more than that, right? It's so much more than that. People with lived experience are generating empirical data. They're doing phenomenology, right? And they need to start being treated that way. That's my opinion, and that's what this channel is all about. By the way, if you're watching this and you have lived experience of psychosis, ping me an email if you want to come on SideQuest Stories. You don't have to be a social media influencer or a celebrity to come on the podcast. It is literally a space for people to share their stories about psychosis so that we can generate a true sample of the heterogeneous nature of experiences of psychosis. Not necessarily a representative sample, but a broad enough sample that we can sort of illustrate the variability in these experiences. So that's all I wanted to say. It's not really a content video, it's more of a kind of position statement video. But yeah.